Very good evening, everyone. Hope your February is going great so far. We are Empowerment Through Golf, and we are diversifying the industries of golf and STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And we just had a really great session with some local San Diego Black professionals. And we decided, hey, why not take it a step further and create a piece of content for our organization based off of the material that we just shared. So this session is going to be entitled Golf Insights for the Working Professional, because we definitely have a lot of working professionals in our network, right? And we want the game to feel more open and welcoming to those in their early stages of their careers. We want people to feel as though they can go out there and play the game, learn the game, enjoy the game for themselves and with their colleagues or loved ones. Excuse me. So my name is Helyne Joseph. I'm the founder, executive director of Empowerment Through Golf, and we're based here in San Diego. And I specifically would love to have more opportunities to teach. So I am a Ladies Professional Golf Association member, an LPGA member, and I teach here in San Diego, California at the Sorrento Canyon Golf Center. So if ever you're in San Diego, traveling from any part of the world and you would love to have a golf lesson with me, I would welcome you with open arms. And if you are in another region of the world and you would also love to have golf be part of your extracurricular activities, whether it is, a FaceTime or online sessions like this for yourself and or your colleagues, this is what we're here for, right? The more people that we can teach about the game, the better. It grows the game, and that's ultimately the goal. So definitely open to doing more of these sessions as part of our services here at Empowerment Through Golf. So let me queue up my presentation and then I'm going to start sharing screen. Okay, and we hope that you find this to be, useful, valuable. Okay. Let's share screen. Okay, we are loaded. All right, so here we go. So like I mentioned, my name is Helyne Joseph. I'm LPGA and I teach out of the Sorrento Canyon Golf Center. And this presentation is Golf Insights for the Working Professional. We want you to feel as though you can step into the game, learn it, love it, and enjoy it. Okay, and so really quickly, I'll just go over a few points that we will touch on during the presentation. So we'll go over just a little bit about the history, feasibility of golf, because that is definitely a question that we get a lot. And then golf terms, attire, equipment, and tools, just things that you need when you're out there on the golf course, tracking your progress, and then wrapping up with thinking of golf as a networking tool, because that's where we're all here, right? We want to see the value in the sport so that we can go out, meet new people, get to know the people that we already get to know the people that are in our circles a little bit more, right? You have so much time out on the golf course with them, or even if it's just at the driving range, you have designated amounts of time, whether you just want to hit a few golf balls for an hour, hour and a half, depending on how much time that you have, you can make that happen and you can get to know the people around you very, very well. Okay. Moving on into the history and introduction. So early days of the sport go back to the time of Caesar, and then also back to Asia, China specifically. But it was the Dutch who had a game that was most like the game that we have today. They had a rubber ball and they were hitting the ball to a pin. So essentially, they were playing closest to the pin, right? And then the game that we know today and the game that we play was designed by the Scottish. So they decided, okay, we don't want to play this closest to the pin game. Let's make it a little bit more difficult. Let's dig a hole and we're going to plant that flag. And the goal will be to get the ball into the hole with the same concept of getting it close. So the Dutch, they were getting it closest to the pin in the least amount of strokes. And then so the Scottish decided get it in the hole in the least amount of strokes. So very similar, but the game definitely evolved when the Scottish took it over. And that's the game that we played today. All right. And then all my little bubbles, but feasibility. So most often you hear these thoughts on the golf course or before people even make it to the golf course. Oh, it's too expensive. I don't want to do this. What, 4 to 5 hours? You know, who has that kind of time? But I want to let people know that this is something that you can do. You don't have to go out for the country club membership right away. Maybe not even at all, depending on where you are, what your lifestyle is, that may not be for you. You could be happy with just playing a course every now and then, right? So it all depends on the person, your reason for playing the sport, and, also maybe your environment. So tips for ease of entry. I believe that the driving range is a great place for anyone to begin learning the sport of golf. So like I'm mentioning down here, a bucket of balls can cost anywhere between 5 and 20, maybe 25, depending on the facility. And club rentals go from $2 and up. The facility where I teach, club rentals, so individual club rentals is $2. And you can circulate the golf clubs. So you pay $2 once, and then you can start off with a wedge and then hit a few golf balls with that. And then when you're like, okay, I don't want to hit pitching wedge anymore, hit 50 shots with my pitching wedge already, I'd like to hit a 6-iron. You can go back into the clubhouse and change your sand wedge for a 6-iron or something, or a different club, excuse me. And so that only costs you $2. So as you can see, being able to play or begin the game at the driving range is a very feasible option for most people, right? Because this is very low cost to entry for the sport, and you can be out there for a few hours. You can come by yourself, or you can bring your friends or your family, right? I teach at a range. I see so many different individuals and groups come out. It's actually really good. Like, I love people watching. So I think it's like the perfect thing for me. But it is really good to see the variety of people that come out to the range to enjoy the sport. And so, well, after you've practiced on the range by yourself for a long time and you've watched all the YouTube videos that you can, you may want to get a coach that can work specifically with you, right? And then so this is going to be an investment in your game. And so you want to begin building good habits. And this is where, it can become a little pricey, depending on, how you plan out your lessons also. So my rates are $100 an hour, and I also do half-hour sessions for $50 an hour. There are different instructors that teach for $150 an hour, and everyone's rate is different depending on maybe their background and their business structure. Okay, and then where to play. And we are here in San Diego, so I'm giving examples of really great executive style courses that people can play. So executive courses, that means that the facility is maybe a par 3 course, or their majority of the holes are par 3s, but there may be 1 or 2 par 4s on either side of the 9 if it's an 18-hole executive course, right? So here in San Diego, ones that I love are the Balboa 9-hole, right? It's very friendly, very welcoming, very forgiving. Mission Bay and Loma Santa Fe, those are really beautiful, well-kept executive courses that anybody would love to play on. Very pretty, highly recommended. I think they're very underrated, especially because we have so many nice golf courses here in San Diego. The Loma Club is also a 9-hole executive course, and I already mentioned Balboa. But these are just some of the options for people to ease their way into the game, right? Less time is spent on an executive style course. It's cost effective, and you're playing shorter holes. So you could just work on more of the fundamentals, like inside 100 or inside 200 yards. And that is the strongest part of the game, right? So, well, it should be the strongest part of your game. So it's really great to be able to practice on facilities like that. Okay, so know before you go, what are some of the things that would be helpful for a young professional to know before they head out to the golf course? So things like what to wear, right? So your attire. Ideally, you just want to make sure that you are comfortable. No matter what, you want to be comfortable on that course. It doesn't make sense to wear something for the ladies that's super cute, or even for the guys that looks super good on you, but you're worried about, oh, is anything going to show when I turn this way or when I finish my swing, right? Because it's going to be on your mind the entire time. So you definitely want to make sure that whatever you decide to wear, you are comfortable with how it looks on your body as you continue to move, right? Because it is something that will distract you as you continue your day. So for the men, it's very easy. Slacks and polos. For the women, we have a lot of different options. Like I'm showing here, you can wear these cute skirts. They have different colors. Everything is really cute. And I would also recommend long sleeve shirts for if it's very hot, like the middle of summer. You definitely want to consider wearing long sleeves or the detachable sleeves just to protect your skin from the sun, or wear sunscreen. But yeah, we have so many different options. But again, confidence, you definitely get confidence from your attire. So look good, feel good about what you're wearing, and have fun, because your goal on the course is to play well and have fun. When you're at the driving range, leisure wear is acceptable. It's very relaxed. So you can wear your sweatpants. If you just came from the gym and you want to come practice, that's okay. If you just left work and you're in your work clothes, that's okay too. Pretty much anything goes on the driving range, as long as, you look respectable. Okay. All right. So some golf terms. I try to think of terms that would be beneficial to someone who's pretty much just getting involved in the game, right? And so on the far left, I thought of the tee box, the fairway, and the green. So what is the tee box? The tee box is the starting point of each of the 9 or 18 holes on the course. We start each hole at the tee box, and our goal is to hit it to the fairway and then eventually get it to the green. So the fairway is the shortcut area in between the tee and the green. Ideally, this is where you want to land all of your shots. If it doesn't happen to end up in the fairway after your tee shot, you're always going to try to bring it back into the fairway, right? And then get it on the green. The green is where we close. No matter what industry you're in, at the end of the day, you have to close something. You have to finish a project, you have to finish a sale, you have to deliver the presentation, you have to deliver something to the customer, whatever it is, you have to close. And this is the same thing with the green. So you have to work on your putting, and ideally, you want to think of it as a 2-putt maximum. 3 putts, they just hurt your heart, right? So let's not have any 3 putts. Let's just focus on either sinking the putts or walking away with a 2-putt maximum, and then keep it moving. All right. In the center, we're going to cover scoring. So par, birdie, and bogey. So par is the number of strokes that the designer expects proficient golfers to be able to finish the hole and or the golf course. So each hole has its own par. So whether it is a par 3, par 4, or par 5, the designer said, okay, if I was a good golfer, I should be able to finish this hole in 4 shots. and that's what they're going to give you. And so that's par. If you birdie a hole, then you're beating the course, right? So you're 1 under par. An example of a birdie would be scoring a 4 on a par 5, and an eagle would be 2 under, so getting a 3 on a par 5. Bogey is just the opposite. The course beats you on this one. So you're 1 over par, and it just keeps going up in increments. So 2 over par would be double bogey, 3 over par would be triple bogey. You get the point, right? So these are very common, and it's an acceptable score. So don't feel bad if you get a bogey. Like, bogey golf the entire way is great for beginner golfers. So please do not worry. Like, it's not the end of the world if you bogey a hole. So just take it and keep it moving, learn from it, and then try to either par the next hole or come back with a birdie so that you can get your score back. So fading and slicing. Okay, so on this side of the slide, I went over direction of shots. And so fade and slice is just a degree of a shot that falls to the right after you have hit it down the fairway. And then draws and hooks are degrees of ball flight to the left. So a fade, if you could think of a rocket launching, right? So the rocket launches is going straight, and then as it falls, then it starts to come down to the right a little bit. That's a fade. A slice has a wider degree of movement to the right. And then the draw, right? Just the opposite. You know, sometimes you see like a tail end draw. And most people know what the shape, the general shape of their shot is. Most pros even don't hit 100% of their shots down the or straight, right? Everybody pretty much has a tendency. Maybe they fade it a little, maybe 5-10 degrees, or they know that they're going to draw it, you know, between 0 and 5 degrees to the left. So this is where you get to know your game, understand your game, and play your game. And then hazards. Hazards are areas where you incur penalties, or your club could be restricted from being grounded. So you could either be in a water hazard, so there are red sticks and yellow sticks for different hazards, white sticks for out of bounds, and then bunkers. Most people don't consider the bunker a hazard, but it is because you're unable to ground your club. And that is for competitive advantage, right? So just to keep the playing field level, because if I'm competing against James and James is able to ground his club in the bunker, he knows now, you know, how much sand is underneath the ball. So can he hit like a nice deep shot, bunker shot, and let the ball just pop up into the air with the sand? Or does he have to just pick the ball clean? But he would have an idea of what to do based on knowing how much sand is available. But there are ways around that. You don't have to just ground your club in order to understand what to do in the bunker. But that is a conversation for a later date. Okay, so equipment. And I'll go through this really quickly. People always want to know what's in the bag, right? And so we'll start off with the putter. So this is what you use on the green. We'll work from green to tee. So you use your putter, and they come in different styles, right? To finish out the hole. And then here we could see our wedges. So this person likely has a lob wedge. Yeah, a lob wedge, a gap wedge, and a pitching wedge. Or you could have a lob wedge, a sand wedge, and a pitching wedge. So the degree of the club face is what determines the loft of the club, and that's where, you know, we determine which club it is. So my lob wedge is about 60 degrees, my sand wedge is 56 degrees, and then my pitching wedge is 48 degrees. And so based on the loft, which is the degree to which the club face is open, so higher lofted clubs, the club face is more open. I'll just use my club to show you. So higher lofted clubs, this is my 7-iron. So this is a mid-iron, right? And so this is the loft of my 7-iron. A sand wedge would probably sit a little bit more open like this. And then a 3-iron would be more straight up like this, a lot less loft. So it's like closed down almost, right? Or close to 90 degrees. And so loft of the club is very important. The higher the loft, the shorter the distance. The lower the loft, the further you can hit the golf ball. And it does make it a little bit difficult, the higher or the lower you get in loft. So we were just within our wedges. So now let's go to the 987. These are mid irons, right? So anywhere from 135 to 155, 160, depending on the player, you would use your 9, 8, or 7 iron. And then your long irons, 6, 5, 4, 3. Most people right now are even taking out the 3 irons and 4 irons out of their bag, and they're just using hybrids, right? So you could use a hybrid and then have a 3 wood, or a hybrid and a 5 wood, completely up to you. And then your driver, but these essentially are the woods, right? And then your golf bag, there are different styles of golf bags. You can just walk and carry a bag. You can have a pull cart. You can have a Sunday bag. There's a lot of really cool stuff out there right now. But for clubs, at some point, I would recommend club fitting so that you know you're getting equipment that's correct for your body, what works best for you. So for me, I have, stiff flex shafts on my clubs and I play blades. But if it was my mom or, like my granny, if I was gonna give my granny my golf clubs, it would not be a good idea for her to use my clubs. It would not make the game fun for her because at her age, she's unable to turn as fast as I am. That mobility is just not there to generate swing speed. And so the flex of the shaft is going to need to be a lot different. So women's flex would be good. Or if it was, your grandfather and you wanted to give your grandfather your clubs, or the other way, if your grandfather was giving you his clubs and he had senior flex on it and you're now like 26 and you just want to crush everything out there, it makes no sense for you to take your grandfather's clubs. Like after a certain point, when you're beginning, you can do it. But if you're going to get serious about the game, then you need to change your shaft so that it's fit for your game. So I highly can recommend club fitting when it is best for you. Excuse me. And then the golf ball. Most people just want a golf ball that will give them a lot of distance. So look for brands that give you low spin off of the driver. And I list a few here. Okay, course tools and etiquette. So on the far left, I put up a diagram of different heights to tee up the ball. And I think it's so important to cover this because whenever you are on the tee box, please use a tee. It's the advantage that you have for starting the hole, and you don't want to miss that opportunity, right? It gives you a little bit of leverage to make sure that you can get clean contact underneath the hole. So definitely do that. So from the far left, this is the height for ideally a driver. If you needed to move down to your 3 wood off the tee, so you're not hitting the driver well that particular day, and you were like, okay, I'm done with this driver. Let's give me my 3 wood. Let me get it down the middle of the fairway. This is the probable height for a 3 wood. Hybrids, this is a perfect height because you just need to get under it a little, and even lower for irons, right? You just barely need to get the ball off of the grass so that you can clip it off the tee. So definitely please use the tee when you have the opportunity. And yes, even if you're teeing off the ball on a par 3 and you're just hitting an iron, use the tee, okay? Some other tools, golf ball markers. You can see here that I am marking the ball behind the ball, right? And imagine that my colleague or opponent their ball was behind mine and I marked my ball directly in their line. They would ask me to move my marker. So I would ask them which side is better, right? Because I definitely want to make sure that me moving my marker is out of their way. So I would choose a side based on what works best for them, and make sure that I'm aligning it to something that I can go back to after they've put, because then I have to put the marker back into position after they're complete, right? Or else I could be penalized. So you mark the ball first, pick up your ball, and then use your putter head, the length of the putter head, to measure the distance that you need to move the ball, either right or left. And then after your opponent has played, remeasure backwards and replace the marker. Here, I'm just showing that, I'm using my rangefinder to get my distances. So on the previous slide, we talked about the different clubs and the different yardages that you can get out of your clubs. So knowing your distance is really important. So we have really great technology now. So we have rangefinders that tell you exactly how far you are from the pin, or, if you're just trying to get it back into the fairway, whatever position that you're trying to get the ball back into, use your rangefinder to get your yardage. So you know for sure what club you want to hit, because you want to be making efficient decisions when you're on the golf course, and the rangefinder will help you do that. I talk about divot repair tools. I have the photo over here. When you approach the green, we'll sometimes leave ball marks on the green because the green is so well manicured and gentle, right? So whenever you see ball marks, please repair them. The greenskeepers will love you. Even if it's not your ball mark, definitely repair it. It'll enhance the quality of golf for the next player. And it's just, like I said, this is just etiquette on the course. And if you are in the fairway and you have divots, also try to replace those divots. Some carts have sand on them, or if you're walking, they may give you sand to put on your push cart. Use the sand to fill the divots, and then you may or may not put the turf back onto it, up to you. And then be mindful of pace of play. So a general rule of thumb is to keep up with the group that's ahead of you, right? So they're your sort of timekeeper. If you don't see them, you've fallen behind. But then there are days when you want to get out there and you don't want to rush at all, and that's completely okay. So if you know that's your day, just let the other group behind you, let them go through, so you can continue to enjoy your day either by yourself, with your colleagues, or with your loved ones. All right. And this is a very important connection here. So understanding the grip. So there are 3 styles of grips that I highlighted. The baseball grip, right, where we keep our hands together but separate, right? So I'm doing my best to keep my fingers close together and my hands close together for the baseball grip. For the overlapping grip, I'm using my pinky of my right, and I'm just gently placing it between my index and second middle finger of the left hand. And then for the interlocking grip, then we're locking into each other. So I have my club here again, so I can just do a quick demonstration. If I was looking down, right, on the grip of the club, down into the club face, I'm pointing it up right now, so I'm looking down. But if I was looking down to my club face, as a right-handed player, my left hand is high and my right hand is low. So this is baseball grip, right? You can see that my hands are together, but not connected. There is a connection point. Turn properly, but there is a connection point you can see in the front, right? Juniors, you say you want to keep the bun, or keep the heart in the bun. And so my thumb is definitely going to stay down the center of the shaft. And that's for all grips. You want to keep your thumbs down the center of the shaft. Okay. And so that was the overlap, the baseball grip, excuse me. And now for overlap, right? So still my left hand has gripped first. And again, this is for right-handed players. My left hand has gripped first. I take my pinky of my right hand, and I'm just going to set it in this groove right here. Okay. that is the overlapping grip. And then for the interlocking grip, pointer of the left is released, pinky of the right. I'm going to bring it on, and they just secure together. This is going to make sure that I don't lose connectivity when I get to the top of my backswing, right? So you decide which one is best for you. Go by the feel. See what quality shots that you hit with each one, and then you can determine, which would be best for you. All right, so I think you have a really good grip of the basics. I think we're ready. So let's get on to the course. So what are we going to do when we get on the course? We want to keep score while we go out there and play. So I highlighted 2 different ways that we can keep score. And what I did was just kept the groups the same, but on the bottom, I have one method of keeping score. And then on the top, I have one method of keeping score, and on the bottom, I have the other. So for bogeys, we indicate that with, squares. Birdies, we indicate them with circles. Different degree of bogey, the line can get a little bit more intense. So on hole number 1, Alicia bogeyed that hole. So we mark her as a 5 and we put it in a box. And on the bottom here, just like a quicker way of doing the math, by the time you end up like maybe, at the end of it, Alicia was 4 over. And okay, she shot a 40 on the front 9. It's easy, right? And you don't necessarily need the squares or the circles here, but I still just wanted to put it so that you could see like, okay, this is a birdie. This is what it's going to look like. This is what a double bogey is going to look like. It's 2 over. And then for David, he parred the hole, so it's negligible. You don't really have to record anything. The scorecard, though, gives you so much information. So right now, we are playing at Madeira. So this is the course in San Diego. And on the scorecard, you have information about each of the holes, the different tees that you can play from, the slope of the course, right? So this is going to be used to help determine your handicap. So how easy is the course or how difficult is the course that you're playing? It will all be taken into consideration when determining your handicap. The yardage of each hole, right? From number 1 to number 9 on each of the tee boxes, from each of the tee boxes to the green, and then the yardage of the entire 9 holes. So this is the front 9, this is the back 9. After you have completed your back 9, right, you record your score for coming in, then you have another column for your total, and then the handicap. Like I mentioned already, the slope rating of the course helps us to determine the handicap, and then also based on what the person would shoot on a regular basis. So after you've entered X amount of scores into the GIN system, it will determine, hey, you have a 20 handicap or a 10 handicap or a scratch. Every time you go out to the course, you're pretty much playing at par. So you don't need a handicap because you got this, right? Okay. And then so you would put your handicap here to determine then your net score, if any. Okay. And it also tells you the par of each hole, which we covered already, and then also the difficulty of each hole. So it'll let you know which one is the toughest hole on the course. So right now, we can see that hole number 5 is the toughest hole on the course. And then hole number 17 is the easiest hole on the course, right? And they do a good job at mixing them. So you have a variety of difficult and easy course holes on either side of the course. But that's pretty much the scorecard. There's a lot of information there, so definitely review it as you start to get yourself out onto the golf course. All right. And then golf as a networking tool and, obviously this based on the mission, of empowerment through golf. We're diversifying the industries of golf and STEAM. So it's really good to be able to, bring in diversity to the sport of golf and just have other cultures enjoy the sport as well, right? So this is a great sport to help you build relationships. If you're in business or in corporate, it's the decision makers, they are taking breaks for their own mental sanity, and they're on the golf course and they're on the driving ranges. And so, if you want to leverage leadership, it would be a really good decision for you to consider taking up the sport of golf. And again, I want to stress, most people don't even care how well you play, right? They just want you to feel comfortable accepting the invitation and enjoying yourself when you get out onto the golf course. So I think that's a huge insight for anyone thinking of using golf as leveraging golf as a networking tool. Like the number one thing, I can't stress it enough. The number one thing is for you to enjoy yourself when you go, right? So if you go out with your colleagues, it'll be a good time to discuss current projects or just debrief. Because sometimes you probably put in a lot of work on a current project or something that just wrapped up, and everybody just needs a breather. So this coming out to the driving range, making team building events and things like that is just really great. It can be very family friendly. Yeah, just overall a really good idea to just get people together, allow them to enjoy themselves in a beautiful atmosphere. And then speaking of beautiful atmospheres, I think that leads really well into the mental health of the sport, right? It's a sport. So you're gonna feel sore the day after because there's physical activity and you're outside. It's usually a very beautiful location, right? So you either have the oceans or some mountains or something pretty to look at. And obviously that's going to be good for your mental health. You can just zen out, so to speak. And so the benefits of playing the game go way beyond just actually taking score, being able to connect with others, being able to clear your mind, release any tension, and just enjoy or practice enjoying the moment are really great takeaways from the sport. So I hope that was helpful. This is our contact information. Like I said, my name is Coach Helyne Joseph. I'm based here in San Diego, but I would love to work with you wherever you are in the world. Maybe you want to teach your organization some of the fundamentals of the game. Maybe you are looking for insider tips on how to cure ailments in your game. Maybe you want to teach a junior golfer something new or get a young person involved in the game. We'd love to help. I definitely love to help. I enjoy teaching a lot and looking forward to partnering with you in the future. So I hope this insight was insightful for you. It's like golf insights for the working professional. I hope everything made sense. I hope that you learned something. And if you have any questions, the contact information is there. So definitely get in touch. And until next time, thank you again. And this has been Golf Insights for the Working Professional from Empowerment to Golf. And I'm your golf coach, Coach Helyne Joseph of PGA, based here in San Diego at the Cerrito Canyon Golf Center. But you can definitely also find me online for lessons using the app GiveGo. All right, have a great time, and I'll speak with you soon.